Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
Holy crap. There's another Star Wars movie out.
Another one?
Another one. And we're gonna review the shit out of it.
Yeah.
As usual, I'm Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Solo, a Star Wars story. And then, we'll tell you our thoughts and recommendations on that. Then we'll give you a spoiler warning and we'll go more in-depth into the movie.
Yep.
That the dog?
No, it was someone slamming the garage door.
Oh, okay. Anyway. So, Solo, a Star Wars story, is a pretty great Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this movie's getting a lot of hate online, and I don't understand why.
No, what's funny is before the movie came out, everyone was saying Alden Ehrenreich is the absolute worst pick for Han Solo, and the movie's gonna bomb because of that, and it's just... And then I went and was reading reviews today, and for everyone, even the negative reviews were like, yeah, but the casting was pretty good, and Alden Ehrenreich really pulled it off.
Yeah. The thing you have to remember is this is young Han Solo. I mean, he doesn't start... spoiler alert, in case you couldn't tell from the trailers, he does not even start out owning the Falcon in this movie. He has very lowly beginnings right from the get-go, so he's not the, overconfident, cocky sort of... I mean, he's cocky. He tries to pull off cocky, and it doesn't always work for him.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the point of him.
Yeah,
is it's before he's at that level.
He's kind of coming into his own. He doesn't even know Chewbacca at the beginning, so...
Right. But yeah, so getting into that, so this movie has a lot of haters. I don't understand why people were so vehemently against this movie, just on the onset, because I mean, from the first proper trailers that came out, I was like, this movie looks cool. It's a Star Wars movie. Automatically interested. It's a heist movie. Automatically interested. Come on, man. What's not to like about that?
Yeah.
So...
and no one was giving any hate towards Donald Glover.
Yeah,
They're only concerned about Alden Ehrenreich.
I don't understand why Alden Ehrenreich is allowed to play Solo, or is not allowed to play Solo, but, you can cast
Donald
Glover as Lando. Why is one sacred and the other not?
Right. Now, a lot of what I had seen online prior is he doesn't look anything like Harrison Ford, and they show pictures of Alden Ehrenreich, and it's yeah, he's sort of more round face and stuff. But what's funny, so if you were to Google Alden Harrison Ford, you get lots of images of them side by side. Every picture where they take Alden Ehrenreich, it's not a screen grab from Solo. No, he doesn't look anything like him.
Yeah.
But every screen grab from Solo, and it's a lot to do with the way his hair is styled and makeup and stuff, and he looks a lot more like Han Solo than he does
right
in these other videos, because they do something to sort of narrow his face a little, and I think a lot of it's just the way they style his hair and some makeup.
Yeah.
And he looks a lot closer to Harrison Ford in Solo than he does outside, so they managed to pull it off, and I think he does a pretty good job.
Yeah. All the acting was really good in this movie.
The one thing, and it's not really a complaint, it didn't bother me that much, but I noticed it, was that his voice isn't as deep or resonant as Harrison Ford's. It's quite a bit higher pitched.
He's also younger.
He is younger, but it's not drastically younger.
Right. So, yeah, so this movie's...
It's at most 10 years or something.
Yeah, so this movie's a lot of fun. It lets us see more of the, scoundrelly side of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, a little bit of the underworld there.
That we get to see briefly on Tatooine in the other movies, basically, is it. And then some to do like with Maz Kanata's Cantina and
then
whatever.
Yeah, within the movies, you don't get to see it. You see quite a bit in the shows and the cartoons.
So yeah, this you get to see quite a bit of that. The Empire is there; they're part of the story, but they're not the villains. There's actually not really that much interaction with the Empire. Just enough like to sort of. There's some times where like the Empire is sort of used to move the plot in a certain direction, but they're never really like the focus of anything that's going on.
Yeah, they're just there to basically instill that yes, this is a time when the Empire has, the galaxy under its thumb.
Right.
I see the average score went up on IMDb.
Yeah, it's at a 7 out of 10 now.
It was at like 6 point something earlier, 6.2 or something this morning when I was looking.
Yeah.
I think obviously more people came in and voted it up. When I was looking this morning at reviews, there was most of them were ranged from okay to good.
Yeah.
And then there were several that thought it was bad, but I didn't see any that were just like I didn't read through all of them, but I didn't see any that were just like this is the worst movie ever. They actually at least had something good to say about it.
The problem I have with a lot of the bad reviews is they don't give a reason why it's bad. They don't say they can't point to like bad directing or bad art direction or bad acting or bad casting. They don't point to any one of those things other than how dare they ruin my childhood by doing this.
That funny you should mention that the film critic is on the radio every Friday morning. He basically said the same thing. He's like, it's a fun movie. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing like it. It's Star Wars. It's it's not like the best Star Wars ever, but it's a pretty good movie and it's a fun movie. And then all these people that are hating on it are just don't really have a reason for hating on it.
Yeah, basically the problem I have is, and to be fair, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like, a lot of people will tell you they're big Star Wars fans. Most people have nothing on our level of fandom with Star Wars.
No.
I mean, I would say it's fair I think it's fair to say that between the two of us, we read almost all of the old Expanded Universe books.
Yeah. There's plenty of people out there that, they're like, yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, but none of them squealed in delight when they set this movie in Coronet City.
Yeah.
We're like, Coronet City!
It's canon!
Yay!
There's
most people didn't get that excited over the name of the city that the beginning of the movie takes place in.
Yeah, and we'll get more into some of the stuff that they pulled from the old Expanded Universe that people like us appreciate. We'll get more into that in the spoilers part, but that's an example. Like,
they pulled quite a bit from the Expanded Universe.
Yes, they did. And I think that was partially like I'm thinking it was partially an attempt to like appease these hardcore fans that seem to be hating on the movie.
Yeah,
but we'll get more into that in the spoiler part because there's one thing in particular they pulled from the old EU that is a big spoiler.
This was written by Lawrence Kasdan and his son. I think his name's Jonathan. I'd have to look. I know his son is a big Star Wars fan. Like, he read all the books and the comics and everything.
That's another thing is I don't understand why everyone was so hating on this movie out the gate because it's written by Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote what is many people's favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So I was excited on that.
Right.
So, but anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, I mean the movie's just a lot of fun. We get to see some new Imperial troops, and you get a little bit look at some new Imperial vehicles because they have to have toys.
They make sense for where they are. I felt that, like, for example, the shore troopers were like unnecessary. They could have just had regular stormtroopers in those roles,
especially because there were also regular stormtroopers.
Right.
On Scarif.
I didn't see the need for shore troopers, but the quote unquote mud troopers, which is an odd name for them, they're just
Imperial Army.
They had stormtroopers there. Other than the Imperial Army, they had stormtroopers, but it was like this trench warfare sequence, and then that
was a really cool sequence.
The Ridge troopers, which are like mountaineers.
Yeah.
they had like mountaineering equipment and like like cold weather gear and stuff, and it made sense for the climate and where they were at.
Yeah.
So yeah, the additional new types of stormtrooper armor made sense in the context of the movie.
Yep.
And it wasn't like you could see where that would be preferable over normal stormtrooper armor.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's basically like all we really get from the Empire, and this is an unspecific number of years before A New Hope. We're thinking it's probably about, what do we say, like 5 to 7 years?
Somewhere in there, just...
Based on the book that came out before this.
Last Shot
that takes place... there's a lot of flashbacks in the book, but it takes place after Jedi, and Han mentions as like an offhand comment how many years prior he acquired the Falcon. And so based on that and the amount of time that the original trilogy is supposed to take place over, we determine it's 5 to 7 years before New Hope.
Something like that, yeah.
So I think that makes this the earliest movie that's not from those that's not a numbered prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does.
So the Empire's equipment's not, what you see later on.
I liked the direction of it, especially there's like some battle sequences that I thought were really cool.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, I mean, it was an all-around fun movie. Woody Harrelson's great.
He's always great and stuff. Though.
Yeah. Donald Glover.
Also great.
Really, really nailed the voice of Lando.
Yeah, it didn't come off as like it could have easily come off as a caricature.
Yeah.
But it just sounded like, Lando.
Yeah. He had the same cadence and the same sort of resonance in his voice and the same sort of like swagger in the way he talks, like he really nailed it down. Like, I'm guessing he probably went back and watched a lot of old Billy D. Williams movies and stuff.
Yeah, I think he said he did. I know he talked about after the day he found out he got the role, he bought a pizza. He said a large pizza, and he sat down and watched Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and ate the whole pizza. But also like Alden Ehrenreich, he had the stance, like he just stood like Han Solo.
The way he like puts his hands,
like a
on
cowboy,
his hips and he
stands like a cowboy.
Yeah, he has the way he wears that low slung holster and stuff. Again, like a cowboy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they did a really good job in making these characters look and sound like younger versions of the characters we know so well from the original trilogy.
And again, I'll say, like, I think like Alden Ehrenreich looks more like Han Solo than Donald Glover looks like Lando.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, Donald Glover has a really narrow face compared to Billy D. Williams.
They hide a lot of that with his facial hair in this movie.
That's true. But yeah, like Donald Glover has a lot narrower face than Billy D. Williams does.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Donald Glover looks like he had a lot of fun making this movie, though.
Yeah.
So... but, I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of neat things in the story you find out about... I don't want to get too much into it before the spoiler part, but like you find out how Han gets some of the things that he's known for, and like obviously it explains how he gets the Falcon. Like that's not a spoiler. That's pretty well established. I think
that's in the trailer that he doesn't have the Falcon.
Yeah. And how he meets Chewbacca. So like that's pretty neat to see that in a canon setting, because I was watching a live stream of something earlier, and people in the comment section were talking about Solo, and someone mentioned how how they didn't like it because like they had established Han Solo's backstory already, and they just like went and got rid of him. I'm like, yeah, but that wasn't canon. Like it was canon once. Like no, it wasn't. The expanded universe was never canon ever. That was made very clear by Lucasfilm.
Yeah, they very clearly said not canon.
They made it a point that it didn't directly contradict with itself, although they started doing that later on.
Yeah, like
the movies contradicted a lot of the stuff that was established in the
one
books.
thing that was kind of annoying, I remember, because the novels they would always been very careful about not contradicting things, and they worked with Lucasfilm to make sure they didn't do it. They knew they weren't canon, but they wanted to at least not actually contradict things. And there were times where they would have a novel set during or after the clone, or shortly after the Clone Wars, that would have a character that would then shortly thereafter get killed off in the Clone Wars cartoon, which was annoying.
Yep.
Like, wow, I'm reading a novel about who's the one Jedi Master who looks like a pink Yoda with like huge ears?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name suddenly. I'm reading a novel about him, and then like, oh, they just killed him off in the Clone Wars last week. Okay.
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, the a lot of the elements of Han Solo's backstory from the old EU are used as like nuggets of stuff in
they're like
Solo. Maybe they tweak it a little bit or sort of refine it a bit.
One complaint I saw is people were saying, "Oh, they totally removed the Han's dice being what he used to win the Falcon. That's stupid." I'm like, "Whoa, the Han's dice were never used to win the Falcon.
Yeah.
It had always been established that he won it in a sabacc game, which is a card game, not a dice game."
Yep.
That was never a thing.
Well, I saw some argument to that though, where they were playing that version of sabacc where the suits change, and that they were using the dice to decide that.
Mm. Okay, I never heard that.
That's just what I had heard some people or seen some people make as an argument for why the dice were part of that. But yeah, I mean that he wins it in a card game, not a dice game. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of all we can say about this without spoiling it.
Yeah,
go see it. Give the movie a chance. It's really fun.
Yeah, and for those people out there that are trying to going to boycott it, you're losing out on. First of all, your boycott's not going to work.
Yeah,
it's not going to lose money, and even if it did, it's not going to lose Kathleen Kennedy her job.
I think it's already started turning a profit.
Yeah, and so, you're really losing out on a lot by not seeing it.
It's a really fun Star Wars movie. I think it's a better movie than Rogue One.
I've seen so many people online that were so determined to not see it that they used any like slightly negative review as an excuse not to see it, and frankly, I think if you're not willing to give it a chance, you're not a fan.
Yeah. Something that I'm going to get this out there. Star Wars is not Citizen Kane. Alright? Star Wars is a silly space opera that was made because George Lucas couldn't acquire the rights to Flash Gordon. So, it's not this masterpiece work of art that people seem to think it is. It's not sacred. I love it to death. It is my favorite IP of all. Easily. Well and above anything else. But it is not sacred. It is not a masterpiece. It has its problems. The original trilogy has its problems. So, boycotting this movie because the guy they got to play Han Solo doesn't quite look like him is stupid. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
So, from henceforth, there be spoilers. So, the Maw is canon.
The Maw is canon. It's not
quite the same.
Not quite the same. It's not a cluster of black holes. Instead, it is one big gravity well
with like a gas nebula.
Yeah, there's like this gas nebula around it,
and there's like this tunnel of safety that you can use to go through, and it's 20 parsecs long to get through it.
Right. So making the Kessel Run in less than that means you go outside of the safety corridor, right. And that's why it's impressive to make it in 12 parsecs. Or
if you round down.
If you round down, apparently they made it. It was actually just over 12 parsecs. It was pretty great. He's like, "Yeah, we made that in 12 parsecs." And Chewie makes his comments like, "No, not if you round down."
Yeah. So that was pretty funny.
That was pretty good.
And I like that they explained that, because people always used to give shit to Star Wars about like a parsec's not a unit of time. So doing it in less than that, and they explained it in the books that because there was this black hole cluster around Kessel, like if you to avoid like the Imperial patrols or whatever, you had to skim close to the gravity wells to avoid them.
Yeah, the faster the ship, the closer you could get without getting pulled in.
Yeah, so if doing it in 12 parsecs was impressive, they sort of changed why doing it in less than that is impressive, but it's still because
Very
they did
similar.
it. It's still it's pretty similar. It's still because they did it in a shortcut way. Granted, I really doubt Han could ever do that again.
Yeah. But there's like other things in there. Like I said, they made Coronet City canon.
They made Terrascasi.
Yeah, Terrascasi was how they pronounced it when the video game came out.
Masters of the Terrascasi.
But Kira knows Terrascasi, and it just could have been just like, we don't know how to pronounce it. Whatever, just pronounce it however you think it's spelled.
Yeah, but yeah, so it was supposed to be this like martial art form. And Masters of the Terrascasi was a terrible fighting game for the PlayStation.
And it was called Masters of the Terrascasi. There was only one, and that was Aurra Sing.
Yep.
The rest of them were just like, there's like Luke Skywalker and
Speaking
Han
of
Solo.
Aurra Sing.
Or was it?
No, it wasn't Aurra Sing.
No, it was not Aurra Sing. That's the wrong name.
Yeah. That's gonna bother you now.
Yeah, it was a character made up for that game.
Yeah.
Aurra Sing, though.
Yeah, so Aurra Sing is mentioned. So the character played by Woody Harrelson, Beckett, he shows up in a bar when they're trying to recruit Lando, and Lando turns around and says, "Beckett, you're the man who killed Aurra Sing." And at that, Nolan and I perked up. We're like, "What? He killed Aurra Sing?" And he says, "Well, I pushed Aurra Sing. The fall killed her."
Yeah.
And
Arden Lin.
Yeah,
that's the master of the Terrascasi, the singular master of the Terrascasi.
Right. Yeah. So Woody Harrelson's character Beckett says, "Yeah, I pushed Aurra Sing. The fall killed her." And Lando says, "You did the galaxy a favor, especially to me. I owed her a lot of money." So that was a pretty funny aside, because like I really liked that interaction, because for people who aren't super familiar with the Star Wars universe, it's still an entertaining scene, because like you just sort of assume that Aurra Sing is someone famous in the underworld, and Lando owed her a bunch of money, and so like that's still entertaining. But if you are a big fan and you know who Aurra Sing is, the Aurra Sing's not like a particularly
but she was in Clone Wars a lot.
Oh no, right? She's in Clone Wars a lot. So it's not like she's a particularly like unknown character, but them just mentioning that offhand is sort of like a wink and a nod, like
Yeah, and it kind of pulls things in. So
and then also at one point, Woody Harrelson's wife or girlfriend or whatever she was to him, is giving him crap about bringing Han and Chewie in on this job.
Yeah.
She's like, you couldn't get anyone else, not even
Bosk.
She says some other characters or Bosk. And so that was just another like
name out there. So there is one scene that we did not see coming, and it involves a character that if you have only seen the movies, you're going to be like, what are they thinking? But if you've watched the cartoons, so it's not such a big surprise.
So at the very end of the movie, so the underworld organization that they're doing this job for is the Crimson Dawn. And if you've seen the cartoons, you would know that the Crimson Dawn is the pirate organization established by Darth Maul after he's brought back to life, which I really hated what they did with Darth Maul in Clone Wars. I really liked what they did with Darth Maul in Rebels, though.
Yeah.
So I was like, guy, why do you have to bring Darth Maul back?
Mhm.
You know. B, it's pretty unbelievable that they bring a guy back from the dead who was cut in half at the waist.
Well, I guess he was cut more towards the hip end, and so
yeah.
he probably has some like digestive problems, but
But anyway, so yeah, it's revealed at the end he's still in charge of, at least when this takes place, he's still in charge of Crimson Dawn. I'm guessing at some point between this movie and Rebels that like Kira doesn't kill him obviously, but like dethrones him or something.
yeah, because doesn't appear to be in charge of much of anything in Rebels.
Yeah, that might be some spoilers, but Rebels has been over for a while.
Well, he popped up in the previous season too. I mean,
Yeah,
when he first popped
yeah.
up was season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you haven't seen the cartoons, like that's gonna be a really weird scene.
Yeah.
I
I realize because he's hooded when they first show this hologram of him, and then I hear his voice, and it's clearly Sam Witwer who voiced him in the cartoon, doing the voice, because he's has that particular sound to it. And I was like, is that Darth Maul? Because this hooded figure, it's got to be because he's hooded. He's probably Sith. I'm like, it's not Palpatine. Although Sam Witwer did do Palpatine's voice as well in Rebels for the first.
Yeah, but it doesn't
season.
sound like Palpatine.
Right. Well, no, he did. Yeah, I mean, the voice didn't sound like Palpatine. It sounded like Darth Maul. And yeah, sure enough, he throws back the hood. I was like, so it wasn't a surprise when he threw back the hood, but it was a surprise when I first initially realized it was Darth Maul.
But yeah, so that's.
What would have been cooler though is if it wasn't Crimson Dawn and it was Black Sun and that was Prince Shizor.
That would have been much cooler. Or hell, even if it was like the Zon Consortium or something.
It was Tiber Zahn.
Yeah,
That would have been.
That would have been cool.
Really cool.
I think it would actually have made more sense to be the Zon Consortium because he is much more like extravagant and flamboyant.
Yeah.
Than like his organization as a whole is more so than Black Sun. And it was a very gaudy yacht that they were on.
I mean, they've established that both those are canon because I don't know about the Zon Consortium, but Black Sun did appear in Clone Wars and was mentioned in Rebels, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know about Zon Consortium or not. But they brought in another crime syndicate. I forget what they're called, but the aliens with like the weird masks that were running Kessel.
Yeah.
That was another crime syndicate that was introduced in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of underworld stuff going on in this, which is really cool.
Which also reminds me of something else I really appreciated about this movie is there are very few new aliens.
Yes,
so
I loved that.
I get that you're trying to just especially it got really out of hand with the Canto Bight sequence in the last in episode 8
And Maz Kanata's castle.
cantina or castle in episode 7 is that like I get you're trying to like show like look just so many different alien species you can't even imagine all of them, but at the same time it's like but we've been led to believe that there are like Rhodians and Twi'leks everywhere.
Yeah.
So why don't we see any of them?
Yeah, it's like they can't reuse aliens in these Star Wars movies, which is really annoying. But in Solo, they reused so many species of alien. There's Twi'leks everywhere. There's Rhodians. There's, I think I saw some Bith. There's that guy who was in who was one of Saw Gerrera's minions in
the guy who wears the mask with the hoses coming out of it and has the little beady eyes.
There's one of him. It might have been the same guy. I don't know, but there's one of him in there. They reused aliens, which was
refreshing.
It was a breath of fresh air, which is strange to say that using old designs is a breath of fresh air, but it is because
it was getting overwhelming and tiresome.
It's like there's too many different species. It gets to the point where there's too many different species, and I'm supposed to believe that like there's untold quintillions of humans out there, but every other species is such a small population that you see like one on this planet and you never see them again.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No. So that was actually really refreshing that they did that. I will
there are a few new species, but not that many.
Yeah, like there's Scissorhands.
Therm Scissor Punch.
Therm Scissor Punch. Yeah, he's a new species, right?
He's like a giant crayfish.
Yeah, that was a new species, right?
Yeah. There's a species that looks like a Gran, but with like 8 eyes instead of 3 or something.
That are more articulated.
Yeah.
It was 6 eyes.
Yeah. It might be a subspecies of Gran.
Yeah. But yeah,
that was pretty funny. Like they're playing sabacc, and Han's like, "Hey, look at your own hands. Look, now I can see yours." And he like leans over his shoulder.
Yeah. You know what's funny to me is Han would have won that card game if Lando hadn't been cheating in the first place.
Yeah, so he actually won the Falcon twice over.
He actually beat Lando twice at sabacc, which like
Lando had to cheat to do it to win the one time.
Yeah, I do actually really like that they've established in the new canon that Lando is a collector of different types of gambling. Like he just collects games, different types of gambling games from around the galaxy. Yeah. Which I think is a really neat characteristic for him and fits him very well.
One thing that was really funny to me is so when there's a scene where Han and Kira are looking through Lando's wardrobe, it kind of making fun of like all his capes, but there's this shirt there. It's like this Hawaiian pattern shirt.
It's like they don't really bring attention to it other than the fact that it's a really flashy shirt.
It's a really flashy shirt, and you can see it. It's this bright yellow shirt with like these Minox and setting suns.
Yeah,
is the pattern. And I was kind of like pointing it out. Then right at the end of the movie, Lando's wearing that shirt.
Yeah, he is with a yellow cape.
Yeah,
oh pretty great. Man.
I was like, they need to make that shirt though.
Yeah, like you need to be able to buy that shirt at Disneyland. Oh man. So I would like to point out that Sam Witwer is credited on IMDb as the voice of Maul, but Ray Park is credited as Maul.
Yeah, our two premier Mauls right there together.
It's kind of like a kick in the nuts that like, hey Ray Park, thanks for establishing the character. This guy that
he never voiced him though.
Even in episode 1?
No, you know who voiced him in episode 1 is don't know the guy's name, but he's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the guy that's the uptight member of the Nova Corps.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He voiced him, huh?
Yeah, he's the guy who voiced Darth Maul in episode 1.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And so yeah, Ray Park never voiced him. I think it's because his voice is too reedy and Irish.
Yeah.
So
Ray Park.
Sorry, Ray Park, but
Ray Park, who you might know
you're an amazing martial artist and
Ray Park,
acrobat, but
who you might know from such classic movies as G.I. Joe,
which he didn't have a speaking role at all in.
Nope. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's honestly like people who are really big fans of Star Wars. I don't understand how you could dislike this movie because there's so much in it that feels like it's for me as a huge Star Wars nerd who like
there's
knows
a lot of fan service in this
There's
movie.
so much fan service as far as like, you know, it's like they don't go real deep into like the operations on Kessel or like really go explain, you know, like how these different organizations work, but just like them existing is frankly enough for most of us. Like, yes, Carnet's
little nods
to the old EU. Like Carnet City is canon. Kessel, well, we knew Kessel as a planet was canon because it was mentioned in A New Hope, but like Kessel as you know it, it's a little changed. You can breathe the atmosphere on the surface. It's spherical and you can breathe the atmosphere on the surface. I think if they'd have made it that like fractured potato shape, that would have been a little too weird for like regular audiences.
Also the spice spider thing, whatever, like that.
The thing that oozes the glitter stem?
Yeah, like I mean that was still stolen right from Dune, and people give Star Wars a lot of crap for stealing stuff from Dune anyway, but
well, that's fine.
You can't steal more from Dune than 40K did, so
yeah, that's true. But yeah, so there's so much in it that is just direct fan service for people who are huge Star Wars fans and have read the books and the comics and played the video games. That's just, and it's what I love about it is it's so much just like incidental shit that doesn't matter, so there's no reason to not.
Yeah.
Like there are instances in the new movies where it's like, why can't this be that? Like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be this thing, but it was a perfect opportunity for it to be this other thing that's already established, people already know the name of, and it would have been appreciated by the fans.
Well, they try to do that where they can. Like, when they put Saw Gerrera in Rogue One, what had happened is they're like, all right, we got this character, and then the story group was like, you know who would fit there? Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
Would fit that role. It makes sense. And so they just, okay, cool, and they just changed the character's name or whatever they did. And so they do that a lot of the time anyway, but there's more they could be doing, I think.
Definitely. But so it's, it's people who say they're protesting this movie or whatever, they're not, I don't consider them true fans of Star Wars.
No, they're crybabies.
You can't just decide to ignore parts of the Star Wars story. Like, as much as you might hate it, the prequels exist in the canon of the universe. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Episodes 1, 2, and 3, and frankly, like, the more I think about it, the more I realize 2 is the only movie that's just an outright terrible movie of those 3.
And even that has some
unpopular opinion.
Even that has some redeeming qualities, but not as many as.
Basically, it has the battle at the end is the only redeeming quality of that movie. Is the big clone versus droid battle at the end. But anyway, yeah. So you can't call yourself a true fan and just decide to ignore or protest or boycott a particular story just because you disagree with who they cast as an actor.
Yeah, or you
character.
disagree with who's running the studio.
Yep.
That's the big thing. They're trying to get Kathleen Kennedy fired. Okay, but you're missing out on what is a pretty good movie.
Yeah, we're gonna go see it again. Absolutely. We might see it more than once again because I don't think there's anything coming out next week.
No, I don't think anyone wanted to compete with Solo.
Well, there was a lot of people questioning the wisdom of putting Deadpool a week before Solo.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hurt Deadpool that much though.
No, the thing about Deadpool is that's such like a weird movie. Like, he's not like weird, but it's a pretty weird movie.
I don't think
it definitely I could say I think that basically 100% of the audience that went and saw Deadpool is gonna go see Solo. The same cannot be said in reverse.
Yeah, but also I don't think especially for like comic book movies,
how did that get?
Was that wasn't like
it wasn't muted the whole time. No, we'll have to find out. There might be a blank spot in the audio for some reason. That didn't even click over in OBS. I don't know what the hell would have muted that, but there might be a blank spot in the audio.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Basically, what we were talking about is Deadpool competing with Solo because they were released like a week before. But what I was saying is, I'm personally of the opinion that you should be able to talk about movies and spoilers for a movie once the opening weekend has passed. Like, if you're that worried about it, find time to see it. It's 4 nights and 3 days to attempt to see a movie. If you consider yourself such a fan that you're worried about spoilers of a movie and you can't find time in that time period to see it, sorry, but you're in the minority.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have to watch what I say just because, oh, that one guy over there happens to have not seen this movie. That's not my problem. You know?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm having a conversation with someone and someone specifically tells me, hey man, I haven't seen that movie. Okay, fine. I won't tell you everyone who dies at the end of Avengers.
Almost everybody.
But by that same token, I should be able to...
It's a quicker list to tell you who doesn't die.
Yeah. But by the same token, you and I should be able to have a conversation about Solo, like, in the middle of a restaurant or whatever, on Monday.
Yeah.
And no one should be able to get mad at us about it.
Yeah.
Like, you worried about spoilers? Go see it. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
So, But that's my opinion on it. And especially people who argue that that not everyone can go see it in theater, so you should have to wait till the home release.
No, that's just stupid.
That's stupid. I'm not waiting months to talk about a movie. But anyway, so I think that's all we really have to say on Solo. So let's see what we got coming up. Oh, Upgrade. Might see that.
Yeah.
After that is Ocean's 8. We seeing that?
I don't know. Maybe.
It looks pretty okay.
Yeah.
But then the week after that's Incredibles 2 and Tag, which we want to see both of.
Yep.
So that's what we have coming up. That new Sicario movie looks pretty good too, I gotta say. But yes, that's what we have coming up for the month of June. After that, we get into July, and we start getting the summer blockbuster time. So you're gonna start seeing a lot of action movies, like Ant-Man and the Wasp coming up.
Equalizer 2?
Equalizer 2, Skyscraper starring Dwayne Johnson, which looks terrible. New Mission Impossible. So there's a lot of... We'll be getting into summer blockbuster season. We'll be doing most of those, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not Skyscraper.
Go see Mission Impossible, the movie that's directly responsible for costing Warner Brothers a few $1 million.
Yeah?
Yeah. For mustache removal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's on them. It's their fault for having to have so many reshoots in a movie.
Did you see where Infinity War in like 3 days beat the entire run of Justice League?
I believe it. Justice League was a bad movie, dude. The trailers looked bad. Infinity War, the worst thing that could be said about the trailers is I feel like there's going to be too many characters going on at a time.
But didn't really feel that way.
Didn't really feel
Anyway,
that way.
we've already reviewed that.
Yeah.
So go see Solo.
Yeah.
And may the Force be with you.
It deserves a chance. It's
really
actually
does.
a really good movie, so yeah, go see Solo. May the Schwartz be with you. And if you like this video or you like this review, check out our other movie reviews. Like I said, we got stuff coming up. We got stuff in the past. If you want to go back and watch something really old, go for it.
Yeah, you want to see our thoughts and feelings on The Mummy?
Yeah, or Starship Troopers Invasion?
No, Traitor of Mars.
Traitor of Mars. Yeah, whatever.
That's the title for that.
They all run together.
That was an underrated movie. That was a really good movie, and nobody saw it.
We were one of like 3 reviews for that movie.
Yeah, we actually got some hits because no one was reviewing it.
Yep. So anyway, yeah. So we see movies pretty much every week. So almost every week. So new videos going up every week of this. Check out we stream over on Twitch right now. We're streaming Jack 2. We're going on to Jack 3 when we're done with that. Over on Twitch. We also put our backlog of those up on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and see our streams of Last of Us and the DLC for that. So go check that out. Twitch.tv/everything_is_bad. And until next time, thanks for listening.
So long.
Toodles.